Welcome to Tech Ties and Human Vibes, where we explore the tech that powers modern businesses and drives innovation. I'm Adam, and with me is Nancy. We'll be talking to entrepreneurs, innovators, and industry experts about the tools they use, the challenges they face, and how technology is shaping the future of work. Let's dive in. We, Civil Consulting Group, experienced Pax8 Beyond this year. Do you have any big takeaways?
I have a lot of takeaways. uh, I don't even know where to start with all the takeaways. But the main takeaway that I had was, and I keep thinking about, and it's part of the book that I'm writing, right? Scott Chasen's keynote talk on the evolution of MSPs and where MSPs are going, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That was my takeaway as well. Where they're headed. Like what's the next evolution stage for an MSP?
right. And that's it funny because it takes me back to the transition that I made a few years back with my MSP, and I realized that we're at a very similar point in time of that next wave of MSPs that need to evolve. Um, it's been several years now of this evolution of MSPs going from being the break fix shop to a managed service provider to then bringing in more automation, and now we're talking about autonomous technicians and agentic AI that is going to continue to grow and learn and replace some jobs.
Yeah. That's the census I get as well. Um what I found to be interesting was, and I don't know where you stand on this, and you can tell me, but I liked the term, and I liked this as a MSP, managed service provider, and the next evolution would be an MIP, a managed intelligence provider.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the term. I do. I think that it is more encompassing of where we're going as a society in general, and where IT is going in the place of business, like where it fits in business. Um so I'm glad, I guess, that we're coming or trying to coin a new term to describe what these IT service professionals do.
Yeah.
But that's like I've also been, as you know, and I keep talking about the book that I'm writing. I have been playing with verbiage and with terms and thinking about what is it, how do we label ourselves, and that label applies so much to what it is that we do, and even as like within amongst MSPs, it has been a like, does that really fit? Are we that? Um, is that just a service we provide? You know what I mean? So it goes back to what I feel. It's just a label for a service. It's not who we are and what we do for
Yeah.
people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's where I'm having trouble with that label for MSPs in general. But like, what do
Okay.
we call ourselves then, right? Like,
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fair. What I found interesting was after I heard that, I thought, wow, that's interesting. And so sitting around the tables and networking events after the event, I started asking some MSPs how they handled AI. And I know that you and I had this conversation previously, but yeah, I found it interesting that several MSPs do not offer an AI closed loop system for their clients. And I am having trouble wrapping my head around that. Why that's even why that's why that's even a thing that they're not offering, right? I
Mhm.
don't understand it. I have several friends, some of them actually work in the government realms that are not allowed to use AI. I have one particular friend that's not allowed to use AI, and he'll take contracts because he needs to get certain data out of those contracts and formulate certain um, algorithms out of those contracts, and he'll send it to his personal email address and then run it through AI and then send that data back. And that AI that he's running it through, Nancy, you're smarter than me. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that AI, just like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever he's running it through, is not closed. So it's open to absolutely that data is now in the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So why would an MSP not offer a closed loop? And maybe I'm saying the terminology wrong, but a closed loop AI system for a client. Why would an MSP not do that?
Well, simply because the way that AI has come about, um, has completely turned how we are used to doing things upside down. So it's not us, the MSPs or the IT professionals, now going to our customers and saying, "Hey, this is what you need to prepare for." As we're used to. Like these technological changes are coming. These new OS systems are coming, and you got to upgrade because of XYZ reasons. That's what we're used to. We're used to us being the ones that go to them and say, "This is what you need." Whereas now, because of AI and it being so readily available for consumers, in business now, demand is flipping on its head, and so it's businesses that are saying, "I'm using this whether you like it or not, because it makes my job easier." So if we as the IT experts and professionals aren't taking that as a sign that we need to start being proactive even in how our companies, our clients are managing their operations, then you're already a step behind. And that's where the the keynote from Scott Chasen was eye-opening in that sense, because it really does come into question in terms of how many MSPs are actually ready for this,
Mhm.
to guide their
Yeah.
clients through the AI
I
revolution
don't
that is
think very
happening.
many of them I don't think very many of them are ready.
Right. Well, and that's what I find interesting, because as I talk to a lot more MSPs and all of that, and I talk to um, experts outside of the industry, what I'm hearing is there are organizations that are creating org charts. Like I was saying, in a video I posted somewhere else, there's organizations that are creating AI org charts. They are creating where in their organization does this AI sit, just as if it was a human. And if there are companies out there doing that now, there are still MSPs that don't even know what an org chart is, let alone have one for themselves. How are they supposed to guide anyone to be able to tell them how they should be leveraging AI within their business in their org charts? So that's where it's like there is a chasm and a growing chasm, where that lies, and MSPs don't have to just be aware on top of AI as it evolves, but also how are their clients implementing it and leveraging it within their businesses? How are their software providers leveraging it within their business and bringing
Yeah.
it into their environments? So, like, that's a whole nother level of managing something, and whether that's managing intelligence all throughout, or managing business operations, it is a whole other level, and it's going to take a completely different skill set than what we see today.
So, really, a managed service provider, right, an
Mhm.
MSP, I get what you're saying though. MIP wouldn't really describe what an MSP is. It might just be like a designation, right? Rather than the title. But an MSP, I'm not even sure if that's the appropriate name, because really they need to be more of a business consultant technology, you know,
Right.
because they need to go into a small business, big business, whatever it is, right? Some sort of SMB. They need to go in there and they need to say, hey, this is what you need and this is why you need it. Where so many MSPs, because, talking to all these MSPs over the last few weeks, right? It was interesting. I even had one guy look at me and say, I'm not a business consultant. I'm an MSP. And I don't think he's making the connection, right?
Right.
You're an MSP, you need to be a business consultant. People are looking to you, and I think it's their mindset, right? They're like, "I'm just here to fix things that break.
Yep.
That's all that I'm here to do."
Yep.
But it's not that anymore. It's I'm here to fix things that break, plus I'm here to help you grow as a business.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that if that's not how you're operating, you're not only doing a disservice to your clients but to yourself. Because if you are, handling it in a way where you're waiting for things to happen before you initiate action or change, then it's you're already a few steps behind, and that kind of change is so much harder. And for those people that have been through a system, let's say a system change, before you were ready for it, before you planned for it, had time to plan for it, you know how much more painful that can be than if you were aware that it was a change that was necessary and that you could plan for and start to put in place the things that you need. Start to gather, what is the support that I need to be able to make this change? Who do I need in my corner to be able to guide me through this change that I need to go through, so that I can then guide others through that as well? And so that's where I feel like a lot of where we're going wrong in a lot of ways is continuing that break fix mindset in our leadership aspect, and not changing our mindsets at the same time to also be in a way where we're continuously looking for what else needs to improve, how else can we improve, and therefore putting in the things that we need in place to be able to guide that change in a way that where it's not as painful or uncomfortable as it would
Yeah.
be otherwise.
Yeah, I like how you're dropping some John Maxwell theology there with the leadership stuff. I like that a lot. I'm a big John Maxwell fan. So yes, you're right though. It is leadership, right? That's exactly what it is. And that's what it
So
always boils down to be.
I'm
Do
gonna
what?
tell you a funny story of when we were at PAX 8, and I was laughing because I didn't wanna do anything about it, I just wanted to sit in the moment and observe. So it was during, right before the final party at Pax 8 Beyond, and we were making a line, so before they were letting us enter the
Oh
hall,
yes.
the
Yeah.
place, we were all in a line. Well, the line was gonna run into a wall, and so we realized that if the line were to just turn one way, we wouldn't run into a problem, right? But if we continued to go in this way, people were gonna start, being in some controlled chaos, I would like to say, right? And so what do? No one leads the line, right? No one makes the call to say, "Hey, let's turn this line around." We're in a room full of technicians, of engineers, of, leadership is a different aspect than the skill that we bring or that started us in our careers. But in order to grow, in order to now move on to this next level that our clients are going to require of us, we have to lead. We have to lead them through that,
Yeah.
and that is a whole other, skill set that many of us don't have, or we have not gotten the opportunity to learn yet. And that's where something like this, in this moment in time, that is what that's going to force, is leadership needing to come out of this situation. It's going to be those that have a leadership mindset and that are looking to, how do I grow past this myself, but then also my company and so on and so forth, and help others through that. And that's where we're going to see the difference in those people that decide, I'm not okay being just a technician or an engineer, because
Yeah.
that is going to keep me where I'm at. That's going to keep me in the same place. And that's okay for some people. But for those that
Yeah.
want to be more than that, then in order to lead your customers through the revolution of AI and AI employees and your own team, and how do you are going to incorporate that into your business, well, you need to know how to lead in that way.
So really, there should be, and maybe there is, I guess, classes on MSPs to leadership.
There should be, a nice little plug right there, shameless plug. That is something that we are looking to do and change at Civil Consulting Group, is bring in that aspect of leadership, because it clarity is something that, if you don't have that clarity within yourself, for your company, for your clients, then you can't lead them. And that's thing number one in my mind when it comes to leadership, or even starting the journey of leadership, and learning some of those skills, is exactly that, is first finding that clarity for yourself.
I just find it interesting because I'm thinking more than just the MSP world, right?
Mhm.
It would be almost any little small mom and pop shop business out there, because many of them start uh I know so many of them that are like bakeries and things, that and they might start because they have these big ambitions, right? They know what they want to do, but what they do is they create a job for themselves, and
Yeah.
they never break free from that job. And
No.
sometimes that's the hardest thing in the world, I mean, you create a job, great. You created a job for yourself. Now you're employed by all of your clients. Like,
Mhm.
that's who you're employed by.
Right. That's now your boss. Yeah.
You don't have one boss. You have,
You have
like,
many.
thousands of bosses.
Yeah.
And so, how do you move, not just MSPs, but how do you move from that? I mean, how do you move from that mindset to a leadership mindset? What is the step that you take to get there?
That's a great question. And the very first thing is, in order to lead others, you have to lead yourself. So can you lead yourself, first and foremost, in especially in those moments where you run into resistance as you go through what you are trying to get to. It's hard. It's hard. And so that's where, most people give up in that sense, um, because it is hard. It is hard to lead yourself, to face yourself in the mirror, to tell yourself, to face all of your fears, your limiting beliefs, and everything that is keeping you in the spot that you are in. Those are all the things that you have to face before you can then lead others. And that's the ugly truth of it. But at the same time, that is the beauty of it, because you have to, like, you have to know yourself, be open and honest with yourself, to then be able to really see what the strengths and the capabilities are in others, that you can then lead them through. So that's the I think the very first thing in my mind, and I went through this myself. I still go through it every, so often, in the sense of really facing what are your limits, and how can you grow past those limits? Because if you don't, you are going to continue to be the block within your business growth. You become the bottleneck, because your business grows as much as you will grow.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Your business grows as much as you'll grow. Oh man, I need to write that down because that is oh
Yeah, we
man.
got AI for that now.
That's a social media post right there. Yeah, your business grows as much as you grow. Nancy Henriquez. I love it. No, but it's such a true statement though, right? I mean, somebody that's willing to grow, um, I I guess they get it. They just get it. And so therefore they can grow other things, right? I know like, oh man, I'll even take it to like plants, right? My wife and I are horrible with plants. We're just horrible with them. And we'll get a plant, we'll keep it watered. My wife has hers. I've got some fake plants sitting over here behind behind the creeper. I've got a fake plant. Those are the only ones that ever look nice. It's like if you can't grow something, you know, you just
I, I'm
have to
I'm
grow
terrible at
something.
growing plants too, by the way. I definitely have. I'm the green thumb in my family because I come from a family of like farmers and stuff. Yeah, like it totally skipped me.
Yeah.
It
I
was like, no, you get a technology thumb.
I can grow grass. That's about the only thing.
What kind of grass are you growing, Adam?
Listen, the grass in the front yard. I can grow grass in the front yard. Oh my gosh. But no, you're right though. Like growing is a huge it's a huge thing in leadership it's just part of it. And I even take like my personal family, right? I am the leader of my household and and I have to lead us into the direction. Um what do they say? There's a saying there. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's like oh, man, it just totally went away. Anyway, it's something about, me being the leader, but, my wife is pulling the strings. So, and that's exactly how it is, right? I mean, if it wasn't for her, I would be lost. Let me just put it that way. But yeah, I mean, it's a leadership role, even in businesses, um, in growing and taking that next step. And I would imagine that another shameless plug. I would imagine there's a test or something that I could take, Nancy.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought that up, Adam. Oh, there is. And I was a skeptic of this. So it's a 20-minute purpose factor assessment. And you think, how the hell can I find my purpose in 20 minutes? And that's
Nancy,
where I
I
was
took the
very
test.
skeptic,
I
right?
took the test.
Yeah.
I The 1 hour session with you afterwards changed my life. But go ahead.
It was the same thing for me when I read my report and went through it myself. It was like, wow, wowzer. Like not only does this see me, but it sees me. Like, oh, it so this assessment is so powerful because it's a tool that you can use to help you gain that clarity that you need, not as a leader, not just as a leader, but as a human being, as a person, because this is a tool that you can apply in life and at work. um, but the things that it brought up and where I laughed the most was the things that frustrate me the most. So it gives you a list, right, of things that fulfill you the most or frustrate you the most. And for me, that was like, wow, I don't like to be micromanaged.
I
That
don't
is
think anybody
something that
does, but go ahead.
frustrates me. And it was just like like just interesting to see that and to read that because it was like, okay, that is something that frustrates me, and I deal with that, or before in the past I have dealt with that by quitting. So I quit a job when a boss told me that I was not allowed to do something, and for me, it was a one, it was frustrating because it felt like you don't trust me. So that's thing number 1, right? But thing number 2 is, if you are entrusting this team to me, I feel like I should be able to make those decisions, as to when something should be done, right?
Yeah.
Um, as the leader of that team, I felt like that was my responsibility as the leader of that team, and that was being taken from me from someone else. And for me, it was like, okay, that is so frustrating. And so I ended up quitting. But all of that, to now think about that and to realize, wow, that frustration, I could have dealt with that in a much better way if I would have understood that that frustration is actually something that I could turn around positively, and
Yeah.
to develop a further relationship with my boss. It would have been an opportunity for us to talk about, why is that a thing? What else could we do? How else could I not be micromanaged, right? And so it was a learning lesson that now I'm able to coach myself through, because of the fact that I understand this is a frustration for me. And so when I encounter that, how can I turn that around so that it's actually a benefit, not just to me, but to the person that is causing this frustration as well? Because what is it for them that is driving that behavior?
Let me loop back around to that test, right?
Yeah.
Because, you sent me this test and I've taken so many of these like personality tests and things like that. And I just thought, oh, here we go, another personality test. What color am I? Or what letter am I? Am I a CD or a CI or whatever, right?
Right.
Um, it was different than that. It
Isn't
was
it?
totally different than that. And after I took it, I thought, "Oh, this is kinda neat," and I read through the stuff. But really, for me, was the one-hour session with you, Nancy the coach, not Nancy,
The
not
host?
the Nancy I know, my Nancy friend, but, you turned the friendship off and you went into the coach friend or into the coach, Nancy, and it was Nancy, you said something to be completely transparent during that session that was like it was like a little light switch that went boop, turned on, and we were talking about something that I was the steps I was taking to become a leader, and you're like, you are a leader. Like you looked at me and you're like, I don't understand. You are a leader, and it's a mindset, right?
Mm,
I've never looked at me that way.
mm,
So for you to tell me that, it was like, "Oh," and then I started seeing things in the past that I have led, projects, companies, businesses, things that I have led. I mean, I have been, um, man, I've been a person that people have contacted for years for information. I'm leading these people. I mean, I have small businesses that would contact me all the time and say, "Hey, what would you do in this case?" I never thought of myself as a leader. They did. Everybody else does,
right.
but I never did. And in that little just that little bit of 1 hour segment with you, really changed my perspective on a lot of things. So I appreciate that about that. But the test was amazing. Um, if one of the listeners today want to take the test, where would they go to take that?
So you can head over to sybilconsultinggroup.com/purpose to reach out and tell us that you're interested in this assessment. And we will send you the link to that assessment, and then schedule some time to review it with me. We can go
Okay.
from there.
Yeah, great. And I highly, highly recommend that to any any business owner, period. I mean, any entrepreneur, period. Um,
I would say, if entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur as well, like if you are looking for what's next, for if you're considering like the direction that you should take, if you're unsure of where you want to take your business, should you grow it, do you want to grow it, any of those questions that come up constantly when you are a business owner, or aspiring to be one, that's this assessment is really good for that.
it really is. It really is. Okay, great, great. So that's civilconsultinggroup.com/, purpose. All
Purpose.
right. Yeah. And there'll be a form there somebody can fill out, and then you will be the one reaching out to them, I guess.
Yep, I will be.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, Nancy, we've reached the end of the road here. We are over 30 minutes, and I don't like to go over 30 minutes on a podcast. So that is going to be a wrap for today. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
hanging out with me and talking about what we learned at PAX 8, some of what we learned. I mean, man, we could definitely dive into another 30-minute section of what we learned. But
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
oh, that's great. All right, Nancy, thanks.
See you, Adam.